Hello, hello, hello. It's the group here today with It's the Truth, whether you like it or not. Of course, I am one of the hosts, Jazz, professional matchmaker, dating kid, and founder of Black Match Made. I'm with another one of our co-hosts today, Mr. Mike Simmons.
Doing good, Jasmine.
You doing
Glad
good?
to be here.
Yes, it's a nice, beautiful day in Chicago today. So, to the conversation we're having today, prayers out to our co-host Kenyatta today. So we're gonna send some prayers and good energy her way, and then of course to our in the word and the community, we want to send him some good energy and prayers that way as well, that he gets his message out and the way that God has him to. But today it's a super special day. First, because I think it's a really important conversation that we need to have. But also we have our guest today, men and Black women. So of course we want to hear all of y'all's opinions. The number to call in is 223-8953. So y'all ready to go ahead and get started?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. All right. So the topic implies that there's a problem between Black men and Black women in regards to dating relationships, like something wrong. So before I even ask you guys how we get your opinion in regards to, do you think there's something we need to work on? And if so, what is it that we need to work on?
Go ahead, T.
So I think that's a great question, Jazz. I think that one of our biggest breakdowns in our community regarding our relationships is communication. Everybody has a story to tell, but because of whatever breakdowns, whatever fear that they've been going through, it's hard to express it in real life. And what you got to understand is two can't walk together unless they agree. So there's a lack of communication, and it may not be, something that's really wrong. It's just something that needs to be talked about, so it's not about so much about being right. It's about getting it right. And I think once both sides come to the table and say, hey, we need to talk this out, holding and really going after the pain so we can, have a break.
I completely agree. I think communication is a big part, and that's why it's important that we have this conversation we're having right now, because I feel like we talk a lot about the problems, and there is specifically on social media, there's a lot of Black women do this or Black women don't do this, and Black men do this and Black men don't do this, but there's not a lot of moving forward. Like, how do we move forward from that? So Mike, what do you think? What do you think there's a problem, and if so, what do you think the problem is?
I agree with T. Communication is key. And I think it's a missing part of, every kind of relationship. And so when there's a breakdown in communication, it leaves space for assuming. We're not communicating, we're not talking. So I'm assuming that you're thinking this, or you're assuming that I'm thinking that. And where there's assumption, there is an opportunity for breakdown and handling things my way. I think also, we don't respect each other's baggage. We're two individuals, two very distinct and unique individuals coming together for a common goal to be in a unified relationship. And in my mind, my baggage is more significant than yours. You don't know what I went through. And in your mind, your baggage is, hey, respect my baggage. And there's a standoff. And when that happens, and the butting of heads, and as long as that miscommunication brews and grows, I think the two individuals grow further and further apart.
I agree.
That's a really important part, the baggage, because on an individual level, we all have baggage. But on a large level, when we think about Black women as a whole and Black men as a whole, then those groups have individual baggages as well. So when from a Black woman perspective, a lot of times the things that I hear from my clients, my female clients, is, and even friends and just people that I have these conversations with on social media, we feel like Black men don't protect us. That's one thing.
Okay.
And I think a lot of the frustration coming from Black women is that, we're feeling like we're not protected. So from the Black male perspective, and you guys tell me what you think, do you feel that there's room for Black men to do a better job protecting Black women?
I need you to go in depth with the word protecting. What are you looking for? What's your perspective of protecting?
So when I say protecting, I'm speaking more so of when someone is abusing us in general, is are Black men there to protect us? So that could be verbal abuse, that could be emotional abuse, that could be sexual abuse, that could be physical abuse. So if a Black woman is walking down the street and there's a corner of Black men that are verbally abusing her, saying inappropriate things to her, are Black men in general protecting her? If there is a Black male family member, which we've been seeing a lot of this lately, that is abusing the young girls in the family, are the other Black men in that family protecting her? If a Black man is snatching his girlfriend up at the gas station, are going to protect them? Because part of the role that all women desire from a man is protector. That's the first step. So from our perspective, and a lot of the conversations that I've had, we don't feel protected. So do you think that we're can you see that? And if so, what can we do better as a community, as a group of Black men or a group of Black women to move in that direction where we're protected?
So, my perspective on that, and that's a great question, is it gets deep. I think that, there's a cause why men don't go over and above to protect. And I think because in our community, it might be a lack of value on women. And what I mean by that is because social media has downgraded and degraded you guys so much that you can literally get on Instagram, see half naked women, like posts. It's easier today to, touch you guys and manipulate you guys through social media, through money, through the flashing lights, that we've lost our sense of value and the queendom of what our women represent to us. So now it's like it has to be men amongst boys to hold each other accountable. Somebody got to have their pants up so everybody else can pull their pants on. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, we just got to step up as a culture, as men, and be able to call out your guy and say, hey, bro, that's not what we do. You know what I'm saying? Have some respect and get back to the basics of really knowing what our queens are worth to not just us, but to the world.
Yeah. What do you think, Mike?
I think that's kind of hitting it on the head. In addition to, I think in many relationships, women in particular put the cart before the horse. You should know whether or not he has the ability to protect you before you get into it. I mean, you shouldn't be put in a position where you're vulnerable and you expect him to be your knight in shining armor, and you haven't checked out, his DNA.
So women have to do a better job of checking men.
He may be incapable of protecting you.
But here's the thing, though. We feel like sometimes, and I'm speaking, from experience as well as conversation. So of course, I'm not speaking for all Black women, but we feel like the options when it comes down to Black men that are physically, mentally, emotionally prepared to be a protector, just starting there, that they're limited. I remember talking to a girl one time. She's like 40, early 40s, right? We were talking about what we look for in relationships, and she, I just felt like her standards were so low. And I looked at her, I said, why are your standards so low? And she said it out of her own mouth. I know what Black men have been dealing with, so we just have to accept what's there. And so that's part of, I think, why women tend to settle. Now, what they do with their bodies on social media, like, there's no real excuse for that, right? Because Malaya out here showing everything but her uterus at this point. Like, literally, I saw a video like, whoa, right? But we don't feel like the options are there to only choose Black men that are protectors.
It may be underexposure. I mean, there's so much more to the pick and the cream of the crop than your immediate surrounding.
Come on.
And oftentimes, women don't go beyond their familiar boundaries to explore beyond what they've been introduced to. And I think sometimes if you would just go 2 houses further, you may find out that there's more to it than what you've been exposed to.
And I want to piggyback off that. I've always been telling women that it's just so much more than life than a relationship. Like, what about the books you read? What about your health, your exercise? What about your, traveling the world? I think that we focus so much on relationships that you neglect the personal development in other areas of your life. And when you neglect that, it puts a ceiling on your inspirations and aspirations, and you're stuck with a certain demographic of people who you're vibrating on the same level with. But when you go after that personal development in all of your life, it forces you to level up and attract a higher caliber of people in your life. You know,
I agree. I completely agree. I think that's one of the things that I focus mostly on with my clients, with my programs, is really focusing on just being the best version of yourself. Because if you're pursuing the best version of yourself, the type of man, the man that you're going to attract is going to be more quality.
Yes.
And then men and women, we have to understand we're different creatures. We're different as night and day. Men will be honest and say, hey, I'm looking for a boo. Women will sell you this whole idea. I don't need no man. I'm independent. I'm this. I can buy my own this. I can take myself out to dinner and all. And that may be true, but we were not created to be alone. And so from a foundational standpoint, women, they do want somebody, but before they'll, appear to be that they're casting their hook in the water and coming up short, they'll say, I'm good by myself. And we know that's not true.
I completely agree. I don't think that we were made to be alone. Like, the desire for companionship is just far too strong. But one of the things you brought up was like women being independent, and like that for a while, that was like the movement among Black women. Like, it was all about being independent Black women. And then in the last 5 to 10 years or so, Black men have more so been like complaining about Black women being so independent. But we feel like we became independent out of necessity. Like it was necessary because we weren't able to rely on Black men, and we can go into a whole bunch of details of why that was the case. But now that Black women are independent, what are some things that you feel that we can do to better prepare ourselves to be in a relationship where it's not just, I'm independent, I don't need a man? What are some things that you find that Black women are doing that makes the whole independent movement or mentality a problem?
Being honest I think they should be honest with themselves. Yes, I can cover this area. I can pay my own rent. I can pay my car note. But when it comes to the void of romance and intimacy, I need somebody that's compatible. And that may require research outside of, the Blair Underwood, the Denzel Washingtons, the Morris Chestnuts. Maybe God got a guy who's just, unassuming. He walks in the room and the women don't stop and take notice, but maybe that's your caliber, and you may have to be honest with yourself and say, hey, maybe I'm not gonna ever attract the one that everybody wants.
So you saying you ain't as good as you think you are, basically?
We may be building ourselves up to be who we're really not, and I think being honest with yourself puts you in a position to be honest with whatever mate you're trying to attract.
I agree. I can agree with that. What do you think, T?
I think that what's important today, when you guys decide to finally move forward with a man, the number one thing that you guys have to look at through the door is his leadership. Understand that you can still be independent, but be willing to submit to his blueprint for you guys' life. So what men have to do today is definitely write that blueprint down and teach women how to read it. So you're independent, I'm independent, but we have to be interdependent when it comes to achieving our goals, because this is teamwork. Be willing to, okay, we understand, you got it. You can pay your car note, you could do all that. But what's all that to somebody who I got to wrestle with every day about whether we going to go out this weekend or do a next move or open up this and open up that? So nobody wants to run into hell. So if you can just be okay with doing your thing, but submitting, I know we're going to get into that, but submitting to the overall blueprint so both of us can win.
Yes, submission is it's like the plague.
Here's the problem with submission. And I'm a traditional woman, so I'm down with submission. I can tell y'all I experience a lot, or have experienced. Not so recently, I've been pretty lucky though. But what I've experienced a lot is I'm more intelligent than the men. I have a better plan than them. I've been making better decisions in life than them. And what I would meet a lot are guys who aren't bad guys, but in order for me to submit to them, you got to have a plan for me better than the plan I already have for myself.
It's about to get real today.
And again, And again, the boundaries. Sometimes the restrictions on where we'll go to explore, to find that mate, or to see if I'm in a place where men are compatible. Sometimes we put those restrictions, and if you had just gone 2 more blocks,
Well,
as opposed to settling for what was right in front of you.
here's the thing. That sounds good, right? But I'm a numbers person,
Okay.
So
Okay,
when we
let's talk the numbers.
when we stick to the numbers, the reality is that Black women are 3 times more likely, I believe, is the number, to have a college degree than a Black man. Right. So not that college degrees are necessary or that is a proof of intelligence, but what it does do is give a lot more opportunities, provide a lot more exposure just from being in that environment. Right. And Black women are excelling in areas of entrepreneurship. So in both areas where it comes down to, back to this kind of providing part where, whether college degree measures intelligence or not, it does statistically change a person's outcome in their life. Right. So my point is that if Black women are excelling in whatever ways, education, entrepreneurship, workshops, we can even talk about entrepreneurship events and stuff like that. If you throw an entrepreneurship event together, 75% of the people going to be in there are going to be Black women in comparison to Black men. So if Black women are doing such a better job of excelling in life and progressing in life and the Black men aren't, it's not as easy to say, well, just go find another Black man, because the reality is if all of us were on a 1-to-1 ratio, there aren't enough Black men to be with that group of Black women that have been focusing and working hard in their lives. I see you, T, you trying to hold it in as long as possible.
So let me just be honest, and speak on both sides.
Sure.
And I understand that, considering today, yes, Black women are excelling. But we got to get to a space back in our life where we can meet somebody, hold their hand, and walk in personal development to another level. I'm not asking, we got to stop asking to find somebody who got all of it. A, to pay, he's solid, 800 credit, house, this, and that.
I agree.
Understand that there are some brothers out here, they're on their journey to that, but may not have the background, certain access to information, certain access to education regarding the necessary resources, because, we've lacked the father figures in the house where you guys had to literally stand up. A lot of the brothers got lost in the streets. We're lost to, looking for love in all the wrong places, but understand that our job is to meet somebody, where they are and walk, and grow together. You feel me? So sometimes in your life, you might not have that person that's right here on your level. But if you have enough patience and you're persistent, they'll grow inside of that person that you're looking to hold them accountable for. So I think Black women just have to, I understand that if the numbers are low, if that's what we're saying, then you got to find a brother who has a vision, and you got to be okay with working with him with patience till he get there.
But can you submit to the man who has a vision that you got to work with and you already got a better vision?
Yes, because we got to take it off of, it feel like it's wrapping around money and finances.
Not necessarily, just leadership. Like, do you have the experience? Do you have the knowledge? Do you have what it takes to lead me better than I can lead myself?
Well, see, submission is not contingent. It's not based upon visions. It's not based upon credentials. It's not based upon background.
Whose submission?
It is the biblical perspective. And so, and that kind of stems from the whole setting of when relationships were established and they were set. You would have your son and your daughter. You would match them at an early age and prepare them to be in a relationship based on their economic status, based on where they come from,
That's
pedigree,
really the background of marriage.
All of that. And so what the different paradigm shift is now, the attraction is based on sometimes superficial, it's based on status, it's based on perception. He mentioned about the whole social media cloud, and I'm not picking on women, but when you think about the woman who has low self-esteem and she goes to great lengths to beautify the outside, and then in the event that intimacy happens and you all get close and cozy, and she's really not who she appears to be, because when she starts to unlayer, brothers feel like I've been tricked. If I had known prior to, but now there's this kind of unspoken commitment, and then you set yourself up to be disappointed, and now you add to the baggage of I don't trust brothers. He led me on, and but all the while, you asking for a better man, or you want brothers to be real, but are you real? It's just a question.
Come on, preacher. That's the word right there. That's the word right there. Do you feel there are a lot of women that aren't authentically themselves out there?
Absolutely.
I think it's true on both sides. You got the brother who's driving his cousin car, and stunting and profiling like it's his. And, he paying, and I know brothers who are paying, got $1,000
car note.
And still standing in their mama's basement. And so, but we present ourselves, I think in a pure way. We don't want to come across as, we don't want to hurt each other's feelings. I mean, you think about the early stages of dating. We won't belch in front of each other. We won't tell each other how we really feel, because we're trying to get a feel for each other and get to know each other. And 6 months into the relationship, you find out you didn't like what I did from the first date, but because you were trying to lure me in, and being honest, 6 months into the relationship is really being dishonest in the full scheme of things.
I try something new now. When I meet someone, I show them all the horrible things about me right away. And then it's like, if you can deal with this, then everything else on the other side is going to be all good.
Wouldn't it be a paradigm shift, though, if we were honest from day one?
Yes.
If we were all honest, not just women, though. Right. If both men and women were honest from day one. But and I saw a blog about this, and it I thought it was pretty dope, right? What is it about men wanting to so there are women out here who are just DTF, right? Who are down to be with a man sexually, right? DTF. So there are women out here down that are completely down, right? It's some women to say, they're not looking for a man. They're down, whatever. Why don't men who are just looking for women to have sex with, why don't they go after those women? What they do instead, a lot of times, is go and try and convince the woman who's looking for a relationship to settle for his whatever he got to offer right then, versus only dating women who are just down for whatever. What is it about? So using that scenario, right? If you really value a person, if you really value a woman, if you think that women should be treated right, why then would you try and change that woman's mind who has decided she wants something serious, she wants a relationship, and you're not there? So why don't men pursue women who are down, who are DTF, when they know that's all they want? Why try and convince the good girl?
Go ahead. I was going to say, I think that's a boring route for many.
But that whole predator prey thing is tough, because we're human beings with feelings and emotions that should be treated right, and we're not your game to catch and conquer, because you still leave us dead in the woods when you accomplish that.
It's a character flaw. And there's no justification for it. It happens.
It happens often.
It happens more often.
It's even promoted in our community.
Absolutely. And it stems back to the topic we had a couple of shows ago, where, women who play the field are called or referred to as one thing, and men that do it, they play
it's expected.
It's another feather in the cap, and, we feel good about ourselves, and, conquer and move to the next. And not justifying. It's a character flaw, to answer your question.
It's definitely a character flaw, but when will men start calling each other out on that and say, you know what, she's a good girl, you're not looking for anything serious, you're not going to treat her right, you have a trail of tears behind you right now, leave her alone?
So I like to speak to that, and I'm more, because having a background in motivational speaking, I'm more spiritual.
Yeah.
And what I want you guys to understand is nobody is convincing nobody. I want y'all to understand that the people in your life are a reflection of the conversation you're having with yourself. So there's no way you can be messing with a dog.
If you're not a dog.
If you're not a dog. So how are you, if you're looking for somebody that's serious, want to settle down, has a track record of what you're looking for, but you in a space with somebody who's frequently in the streets late at night, you understand what I'm saying? There's no convincing. You're in that space because you're getting something out of it. Understand that, you might come from a dysfunctional, past, but understand that he might be providing something for you that's, feeding that dysfunction. You might just like to be called a B word. You might just like to be called a H word. That gets you off. So you attract certain people in your life, and then you get mad when the weather starts storming. But you created a storm because your mindset. So understand, I'm gonna be honest. Can we be transparent today?
Please, that's what we're here for.
Most brothers, before I settled down last year, I was heavy in the streets. And there's no way a woman could be with me and talking about she wanted to be in a relationship long lasting. How? You can't be in my space if I'm talking about going from her to her to her, and you talking about we getting married in the next 2-3 years. There's no way, because I keep telling you guys, the law of attraction, the spirit, my conversation was never about relationships. It was about relations. So understand that you couldn't be in my space if you weren't talking my language. So we're not convinced, you guys. A lot of times women settle and then hope for his potential to change.
That's true. That's a word.
You hear me?
And T, he said something. Women will refer to each other as the B word.
Come on.
And use it as a term of endearment.
That's like the N word, though.
When a brother calls up by the B word, you are offended.
Yes, and
it's the same words, the same language. So I think it's a mindset. Why would you be okay, when your BFF refers to you as that, and then a brother who's angry, irate, or feels like he's been rejected, uses it to hurt you or to wound you. Now there's a different set of emotions and your response is different. And I think that sets a precedence. Once again, it creates a barrier in potential relationships.
That's just like the N word, though. Well, you can't do that, because we understand that it's the same word, but when used in different environments, with different people, it has different meanings. Ladies, y'all feel free to call in at 708-223-8953, because these gentlemen are telling us what it is today, and I'm loving every single second of it. So tell me this, T. You said you were in the streets, and then you settled down.
Yes.
Was it a decision to then go settle down and find someone, or did you meet someone and you realized she's the type of person you wanted to settle down with?
It was a decision. The primary, because I want all the women to understand out there, is that you can't convince a man to commit. You can't convince a man to settle down. A man has to come to a place in his life where it makes sense for him to settle down, or he'll never stop doing what he's doing. So understand that it wasn't a business move, but I understood that I was at a point in my life where I was ready to have that decision with myself. And because with that decision comes responsibilities. And most people never get to that relationship part because they've never owned up to the responsibility of making that decision. So understand that, most men, going into a relationship, we have to going from 100 to 0, being in the streets, then settling down. That's from going from one end of the spectrum to the other. So it has to be a choice and a decision, because you can't have sex out of him to make him settle down. You can't fry the best chicken in the world
and make him settle.
To make him settle. It was a choice that men have to make because we're logical. Understand, and that is nothing against that, who you with, but you love that person, you meet that right person, but you got to first make the choice with yourself that you're looking for a relationship, and the universe will bring you what you're looking for. So that's my thoughts on that.
Here's part of the problem, right? Because I believe you. I tell my clients this all the time. You should only date men if you're looking for a serious relationship. And by the time you get to me, that's what you're looking for, right? So you should only date men who are also looking for a serious relationship. And that's a conversation you should have early. And when y'all start talking, well, what are you looking for right now? And I find that the majority of men will be honest with you, right? But here's the problem. We see the study that says Black women are the least likely to get married and Black women won't marry. Well, what we later found out is that study was measuring marriage between the ages of 18 to 31 or 32 or 35 or something like that. What Black women marry as often as women of other races, but we marry much later in life, which causes a whole lot of issues. We know that Black women have issues with birth and all of that stuff. And I believe, I haven't studied this, but I believe getting married later in life might play a role in that. Right. So if we're only supposed to date men who are serious and ready for marriage, for a relationship that leads to marriage, but Black men aren't as focused on that until much later in life, then how are we going to solve that problem? Because everybody can't just get married in their late 30s and early 40s.
I think, this may sound strange, but I think some heartbreaks are good for you. If I never, if I never experienced the rain, how could I appreciate the sunshine? And so I think going into a relationship, there's always this, reflection and reminiscing about the pain from before. And I think we have the innate ability to try to correct some things moving forward because we never want to experience that hurt again. So some heartbreaks can be good for a relationship as we move forward. And I think
I don't want no heartbreaks. None, no more, never, nothing. Please don't break my heart.
I think they're inevitable with human frailty. It goes back to your original question and our topic about repairing. You have to have the right tools to repair. I mean, Thanks. If your sink is linking, and I mean, you come with just some bolts and nuts, but not a patch. You're doing a disservice to repairing that sink. And I think as we seek to repair relationships, we bring the wrong tools.
Oh, we bring the wrong tools. Y'all, I just learned, because I heard the phone ringing, that we are having some technical difficulties with the phone today. We don't know why, but thank you for calling in. You can actually ask your questions on Facebook Live. I know on T's page, he can see what's going on his page and pull some questions up from there. And then as well on Mike's page. My fans, I'm not close to my phone, so I can't see y'all's questions, but you can definitely head over to T's page and ask your questions over there. So one of the things that we want to see from Black men more of is vulnerability.
I agree.
And emotional maturity.
But I would have disagreed with you 20 years ago. But because of the maturation process, I agree with you now. I think men who trust their significant others enough to be vulnerable in front of them, it shows a level of strength, and it says that it really displays your trust for her. It says that I trust you enough to be me, to be transparent, and to be open. And I think that's how you really, really build something special when both parties are
vulnerable.
Absolutely.
I don't think you can have like true and genuine love without that vulnerability. Like your person is supposed to be the person that you can be completely honest and true with, and believe that they're going to be there with you even when they don't understand. One of the issues about that vulnerability and emotional maturity, which kind of run hand in hand, is I believe because Black men struggle so much with that, y'all ain't ready to love like we really need y'all to love.
I ain't gonna say that. Let me say this. There's a perception that men don't want to settle down. Men don't want to commit. In all honesty, we just afraid to commit to the wrong woman. You understand what I'm saying? So understand that. Say that question again. I was finna go in, Jay. What was the question again?
No, it was just emotional maturity and vulnerability, and it's preventing Black men from loving, because y'all are raised to be, men don't, boys don't cry. Y'all were raised tougher than everybody else, and we're missing that emotional part that's so necessary in a relationship, and that vulnerability part that's necessary in a relationship.
I think, in my cases, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think a lot of brothers may be loving harder than women. And the reason why is that a lot of brothers, when we first got in the game and we get our feelings hurt, we carry that for years.
Forever.
I
know 40-year-old men right now that's still angry because they didn't get chosen in high school.
So we love, and for us, it's a risk, because our whole nature on this earth is to provide our vision for heaven for a woman. You understand what I'm saying? So it got to be the right woman, and we don't want to roll the dice on the wrong woman, considering what the story we made up about our initial pain about relationships. You understand what I'm saying? So
Black men are afraid?
Yes.
They're afraid to choose
I think that
someone.
human nature Everyone is afraid. You feel me? And only reason why most people are afraid is because they have a dysfunctional story about relationships. Because the only way, like, relationships can hurt, but they also can heal. And that's the part we forgetting about, because I think today people do more to remain single to actually be in a relationship.
I think so too.
It's all about what you're not going to do. I ain't going to put up with this. I ain't going to do this. And I ain't going to do this. Okay, you ready to date? Absolutely not. You understand what I'm saying? So you've already, like, women have been through this game so much that they already looking for signs. Y'all want to be right about and being wrong about something. You understand what I'm saying?
I get it. That's me.
Yeah, your expectations is already dysfunctional. So I ain't got a shot in the world anyway.
My expectations are not dysfunctional.
You know what I'm saying?
That's too tough. That's too tough.
And so I think, and I agree with T, we are prepared and trained for so many areas in life. I mean, to get a driver's license, you have to go through driver's ed. You have to be trained, and you have to do get in the car with the inspector and the driver. You have to do the road test and all of that. I mean, any other field, if you want to be an electrician, you have to pass, you have to be certified. If you want to become a doctor, why is it that this great emotional commitment called love that strains us in every area, there is no preparation for? We're not trained. We're not taught.
Come on.
Women are not teaching their daughters. Men are not teaching their sons. Men are patting their sons on the back. Hey,
for being dogs.
That's my boy. And then women are saying, I didn't raise you to be but did you prepare not to be?
So here's the thing. And yes and no. I'm going to agree with you, then I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
On the agreement part, we're not taught, because 2/3 of Black kids are raised in one or fewer parent households. And that's how most people learn what a healthy relationship looks like, or a relationship in general. They learn either no relationship, or an unhealthy relationship, or a healthy relationship. So that's where people of other races are able to see, okay, this is what my father is like. This is what my mom is like. This is how I'm supposed to be. This is how I'm supposed to be. So yes, that we're not trained, right? But here's the other part. Black women are very much invested into, can you hit that up on my phone, please? Because I think it kind of cut the live off. But Black women are invested in, thanks T. Black women are invested in preparing ourselves for relationships. And I can tell you that as a matchmaker and dating coach, Black women are reading books constantly about relationships. Black women are invested in coaching. Black women are we're consistently invested in relationships. It's working? Okay. So we have a caller in.
We got a call in.
You'll move the mic over.
I'll pull it out.
You want to come give us a hand here?
Yeah, we need your help.
Come on, producer.
Yeah.
Caller, 1 second. We're going to let you. The phones are back working, guys. You can call in at 708-223-8953. Hey, caller. Thanks for calling in to It's the Truth, whether you like it or not. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Khalid calling from Chicago.
Hi, Khalid. Yes, he was supposed to join us today. Tell us a little bit about you, and I'm not sure if you've been able to tune in on the conversation. Give us some points on what you thought so far.
Well, first of all, you all doing a wonderful job, and brothers, you're truly representing and saying all the right things, that the audience needs to hear. And I just want to add, to the discussion regarding, how do we mend, Black relationships, is that we have to be motivated to want to mend them. We want to stop, leaning on the scars of broken relationships and say, you know what, I want to give this a new chance. I want to be dedicated to the person I want to be in a relationship with. And I because being in a relationship is healthy for both parties, and I think it's also important that we realize that we were destroyed. It was a bigger purpose to destroy the relationship between Black men and Black women, because when we get together, we're powerful, and when we're separated, we're not powerful. and it was a master's plan to have us divided. And I think that, especially like in my age range, like I'm in my latter 40s, you know, and I'm divorced and back out here dating. And I just find that I'm doing a lot of cleanup work when I go on dates. You know, young ladies have been, you know, hurt by many men, or the main man that they were with, or a husband, or a long-term relationship spouse. And then they meet me, and I'm trying to play the cleanup guy. Or, you know, how some of us brothers feel that I'm the good guy who you didn't want to date in your 20s.
Oh, Lord.
Now that you're older, you know, now, you know, it's like, okay, come and rescue me.
Khalid, one of the things that you posted on my page, which is why I really for sure wanted you on the show, that I thought I had no idea. You said that in the couples that you're counseling, married couples,
yes,
that Black women are cheating as much as Black men now, sometimes more in marriages.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about that, and why you think Black women cheat and why you think Black men cheat.
Okay. Cheating. We are now in a society where it's promoted, where it's cheered upon. You know, go back just a few months ago, the TV show Scandal, after a 7-year run, every Black woman was cheering this woman who was a glorified mistress.
Sure.
You know? And here was something that we used to look down upon, and now we're cheering it on like, hey, do it. Why not? You know? And so it sends a big message, you know? And it sends a big message to our younger girls that it's okay. Get yours. You know, and when I'm counseling married couples, or if I see a wife, you know, individually, or a husband, and I ask them the questions of why cheat, it always comes down to getting my needs met.
Women are saying they want to get their needs met?
Yes.
What needs?
It could be anything. It could be sexual. It could be attention. It could be affection. It could be monetary reasons, you know, but it's getting my needs met. And the thing is, what set women apart, and we all know this, when women cheat, they go in understanding I got a whole lot to lose, and I'm not trying to lose it. So what happens is, if I'm going to cheat, I'm going to be a master at it. And I'm going to take it to my grave. Maybe one person may know I'm doing this, my best girlfriend, because she might have to be the one to cover my tracks for me. But see, women are not sloppy like us men tend to be. Because see, a man, what we would do, we would get naked pictures on our cell phone, drive up to our house, and instead of deleting those pictures, we'll take the pictures in the house, jump in the shower, and leave our phone without a code on it. And then our wife is sitting there, and she goes into our phone, and there go the pictures right there. And the reason why we're sloppy is because we're arrogant enough to know you ain't going nowhere.
That's true.
And then we flip the script.
I'll give you some flowers, but you're not going nowhere. So I'm going to cheat because I don't have nothing to lose.
Wow.
And because men and women see infidelity differently, us men see it as a man is pouring his semen into you. And let's even go to the basics. When women cheat, he makes love to your mind first. Then he gets your body.
Facts.
When men cheat, it's all physical. Now, eventually, it might go into the emotional connection, but it's always it's typically physical. So if a man cheats with my wife, he got her mind.
That's true.
That's something I don't know how to fight.
Come on. Can't.
That's true. Because with women, a lot of times, when somebody's got our mind, two people can't have our mind at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me tell you this quick story. A friend of mine, when I got divorced, I've been divorced almost 6 years. It was about my second anniversary of being divorced. Buddy of mine called me, and this guy, everybody knows him in Chicago, so I'm going to keep his name to myself. But he is that guy. He's that guy who you got the hundreds of women. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And he said, Khalil, let me tell you something. He said, have you started dating yet? I said, no, man, I'm still kind of grieving the loss of my marriage, and I'm taking my time, and I'm doing me. I need to lose weight and, get my teeth fixed and all that other good stuff to get back out here. So he was like, well, Khalid, that's all fine and good, but let me give you a word of advice from a player to a goofball. So he's a player and I'm a goofball.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't get offended because I'm a goofy. You know what I'm saying? And he said, Khalid, understand this. The women who you go after, or the women you start dating, especially in Chicago, I've been with them already. So you're going to be playing cleanup guy. And understand, when you're laying next to them at night, they still going to have me on their mind.
I don't know what to say about that.
And you know what? I took him out to dinner after he told me that. Why? Because he gave me the gospel truth. His thing was, I'm not going to ever commit to you, but I'm going to want you to want me to commit to you. So that means I got to have sex with you like I'm a porno star. And I'm going to keep you guessing. And I'm going to make you call your girlfriends every night at 2:00 in the morning saying, why won't he be with me? See, Khalid, you safe. You safe. You're drama free. You're chaos free. But women have learned to deal with the chaos so much that when they got the chaos free guy, something wrong with him. I got to find some fault in him because this ain't real.
Too good.
So here's the thing. I think that there are, and Kali, before we let you go, I just want to say this. I think that there are definitely some women that enjoy that drama. But yes. I believe the majority of women, based on the women that I work with and the women that I'm around all the time, are looking for great guys. Yes. In your case, as you call it, a goofball.
Yes.
I think that women are looking specifically for that. So right. If you are a good guy, please know that the women are looking for you and y'all just having a hard time finding each other. Khalil, thank you so much for calling in. Any other advice you want to leave with us before we let you go?
The best advice I can give both black men and black women is continue to work on the 100% that you need to achieve for yourself.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we come into relationships depleted and deplorable. When you come into a relationship whole and you find somebody who is also healthy and whole, guess what happens? That's a healthy and whole relationship.
Agree.
If you come incomplete, and she's incomplete, or you're complete and she's not, it's never going to be even. So work on you first, and then let the rest happen.
All right, there it is. Khalil Scott, guys. He says, work on you. Is there a way? Yes, of course. Is there a way that people can reach you on social media?
Sure, please. Find me on Facebook, Khalid, Khalid Scott, Eddie KBS1 at AOL.com, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
All right, Daddy. All right.
Have
a good. Well, adamantly opposed to
what he said.
And one comment even was Khalid needed some new friends.
His friend was a bad person.
Yeah. So, but I just want to speak specifically to what he was saying. The friend that was, the player, even in his hundreds of women, in his repertoire, there is no guarantee that all 100 are still thinking about him.
Of course.
His ego may cause him to think that, because you can rebound, even women can rebound, and you can speak more to this, Jasmine, even having been with a player who has had your mind, had your body, had you wrapped around his finger. You can recover and actually forget he ever existed based on a current and meaningful relationship. I mean, you can rebound and recover.
We do it all the time. Women do it all the time.
And not be laying next to your new boo and your significant other and maybe your true soulmate that God has assigned to your life, and never think twice about the guy
a person like
who thought he had it going on. So
absolutely. And just so that you guys know, the phones are back working. We have about 5 more minutes on the show. The number is 708-223-8953. But Mike, one of the things that I think we forget about those guys, because as a community, we like to celebrate them.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've learned is that those are some of the most hurt men. They're so hurt inside.
I agree.
Because of what they've experienced and what they've dealt with. I actually know a guy like that.
Mm-hmm. I think we all do.
And found that he's really hurt. All right, we have another caller coming in. Hi, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is me. It's Pastor Austin. Hey, what's going on, y'all?
What up, Pastor? What's going on?
What up? Life's the beach. I'm telling you.
You enjoying Virginia?
Great show, great conversation. I want to thank our guests for being on there today. But, I just want to give this little comment. I just believe that the major disconnect with relationships, one of the major disconnects with relationships is that I think that we have misinterpretation of what a real and true relationship is, or what a healthy relationship is. And I think what we're allowing to happen is what's around social media, ratchet television, and all those things to define for us relationships. And what's happening is that people are pursuing those type of relationships, not understanding that behind those relationships are some ramifications, are some problems. And so when they get in it, they go after it and then get it, and then get in it, never expecting, that behind all of that stuff is something that's very detrimental weight. So that's my little 2 cents.
Thank you, Pastor. We can't hear you as well because I can tell you really are on the beach, aren't you?
Oh, I really am on the beach.
Yeah, we can hear the wind blowing in the background, so we couldn't hear you as well. But it sounds like you said we need to be more honest about our expectations in a relationship.
And Rev, this is your last time in Virginia without me.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, what I was saying is that I think the problem why people are not having healthy relationships is because we don't have an understanding of what a healthy relationship is.
Right.
What we're doing is allowing social media, ratchet television, and all those things to define for us what a healthy relationship is. And so when people are chasing after those type of images or those type of paradigms, not knowing that behind those relationships are some severe ramifications.
Right.
And so what happens is that people go after them, get in them, and then they are fighting to get out of them because they didn't expect for it to be that detrimental and for it to be that bad. So that's just my belief system on the whole thing. All
righty. Well, thank you, Pastor. Enjoy your time away, and we'll see you when you get back next week.
All right. See you guys when you get back. Peace.
All right, Rev. Talk with you.
I just wanted to say something. I know we got 4 minutes left, but to answer, my solution to that, to answer the whole question about repairing Black relationships, we need to do away with relationships and start pursuing partnerships. It's a different mindset. I'm not in this for the fuzzy feelings.
Yeah.
Our relationships have to have tangible results, and it causes us to be responsible and accountable for growth and love.
Look at you, drops the mic. The way he turned his head, drops the mic.
And I agree. I think there has to be a common goal. Both parties have to establish what their aspirations are, what they expect from each other, and are they in agreement to working toward those goals and being cohesive during the relationship.
No, that's a good word, Mike. All right, we have one more caller we're going to take before we end the show. Hold on. Hello, caller. Thanks for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Michelle, and I'm from Florida.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks.
Hey, my take on it is we all get into relationships with restrictions, what we won't do, what we will not put up with. And we don't start relationships off fresh with each person. Each person is different. I was raised to start over with each person, and don't go in with so much of what you won't do, but know what you will do, know how far you will go. Be honest with that person from the beginning about who you are and what you expect and what you want. And that way, that person, if they want to be obligated or committed to that situation, they know the truth. And a lot of times, my experience, I make good money. I take care of my own everything. And I want to be able to get in a partnership, in a relationship with a man and share the same thing. But my problem is that I always find somebody that doesn't wholeheartedly want the same thing at that time. You know, it's not that they don't want it at all. It's just not at that time, you know, and if I come across as too serious or, you know, like it comes off as I want too much. And it's like, well, why are you dating or why are you out here if you don't want more than sex? You know, if you, what's the whole purpose of it? And I think that's like, for me, a misconception of everything. You know, they want a beautiful this, a highly educated and this and that. And, you know, but if things are not being reciprocated, you know, for people who want those things, it's people out here that just want to have a good time, but there's nobody out here that really wants to commit and deal with the good and bad of a person, no matter what that might be.
You know, that's really important, Michelle. Well, I've had a client that had similar experiences. Here's two things that I suggest that you do. One, change your circle as much as you can. So start putting yourself in environments where people are more likely to be focused on long-term relationships. Put yourself in, whether that's like religious organizations, if you're religious or not, or professional organizations or alumni organizations. It sounds like you're well educated, but start putting yourself in an environment with people that are more likely to desire health, long-term relationships. But the second part is the reality of dating is that we can't control who we meet. We can only control who we allow to stay in our lives. So when you meet a guy that's not ready for a serious relationship, let him go. And you have to continue to do that until you meet someone that actually is ready for a serious relationship. But until then, keep it moving. And as long as you're consistently putting yourself in an environment to meet someone, then you will meet a guy like that. Okay. Thanks for calling in, Michelle. I hope that helped you.
Thanks.
All right, guys. So thank y'all all so much for being on the show. I want to say thanks again to T. Smith. T, tell us how we can find you.
I'm on Facebook as T. Smith and Instagram as T. Smith Speaks.
And Mike, how can we find you?
Michael Anthony Simmons on Facebook.
All right, guys, I'm Jazz Turner, and today we learned the biggest thing for helping with Black male and female relationships is that we all just individually focus on being the best version of ourselves. And that is the truth, whether you like it or not. Peace.